Well, fans of Dawnless Days and all things of Middle-earth, we have a new submod for the Dawnless Days mod for Attila Total War. And yes, this is Dawnless Days, the New Shadow. So this is set in the 4th Age. This is after Sauron's been defeated, Aragorn has become king, and I think he's since died as well. I think it's kind of like when this is sort of set. There is a little bit of lore for the 4th Age. I don't know if it was set by Tolkien or if it was by his son Christopher Tolkien, but it is like this idea that though Sauron is gone, people have started to follow him again. Darkness has sort of returned to the land of Middle-earth, and so there are like cults sort of leading like led by evil men that sort of are starting to worship Sauron and sort of like all things Melkor again. If I remember rightly, I think it's like a guy called Huramor who like wishes to sort of like sort of overthrow the united kingdoms of like Gondor and Arnor and sort of bring back sort of like darkness to the world of men. Which is it's a cool idea. I think it's like seems like the youths of like sort of like the next generation forgotten like what the old generation have gone through to like get freedom and sort of like ready to sort of bring the world back into darkness. A little bit what you could kind of look like today, maybe. I don't know. But yes, we do have 3 factions anyway in this new submod. I don't know if they're going to add more, whether we're going to have more. I mean, the elves are kind of all left, all the high elves. There aren't many factions there. The dwarves have obviously kind of become like less of a thing as well. They've kind of disappeared into their mountain fortresses. So yeah, whether we'll see more, I don't know. Like maybe Dale get added because Dale is in the faction, but they obviously, I imagine, still last. They sort of come back in the 4th Age. But we do have 3 factions. We have Ithilien, we have Aglarond, I think is how you say it, in the Dominion of the Dark Tree, which is the evil faction, and then Aglarond is a faction set up by Gimli. It's the dwarves set up in Helm's Deep, and they form the realm of Aglarond there, and they're kind of like a hybrid faction that I'll show you off in a minute. And we're looking at Ithilien first, which is Faramir's realm. He becomes Prince of Ithilien. He is long dead, and it's actually his son that is going to be the so like the main sort of character in, I guess, this submod. I don't know if it's going to get its own campaign. I don't know if they will make one. I haven't got any sort of confirmation on that. But I guess if once Dawnless Days have made their campaign map, they could edit it potentially if given the permissions. So that could be fun to see, like a 4th Age sort of like world. But yes, we'll start off anyway checking out some of these factions. I'll also look at the rosters. And if you want to see more on this sort of submod, do remember to leave a like and subscribe if you're around here, in the comments, show your support, and let me know what your thoughts are on the submod as well, what you think of it. You can check it out on the Steam Workshop as well. I'll leave a link for it in the description so you guys can go and have a look at it and maybe give it a play yourself. But yeah, we're going to do a sort of a quick overview of these factions. We have got the Ithilien Militia here, which are a very light melee infantry unit. A lot of these units I think are going to be just sort of I mean, it's similar to a Gondor Sword Militia, really. I'm not really going to look at stats. We're just going to look at sort of like the units itself. But yeah, this is an Ithilien Militia unit here. Ithilien, I've learned, is kind of very much a hybrid. Well, not a hybrid, but a bow, spear, sort of heavy faction. It looks like it's what it's going to be. It's certainly not heavy in cav, sort of like what more Gondor is. I mean, these are the Ithilien regulars. They are pretty much just, they've got a little bit of rework, but they're pretty much just Gondorian swords. As you can see here, the heavy melee infantry. They're tier 2 instead of tier 3, which I'm pretty sure Gondor swords are tier 2. Then we have elves, which is kind of interesting, because, and I do like the students, the Greenwood Swordmasters. So yeah, the idea is that Legolas has come down into Ithilien and has made a realm there, and sort of helping to sort of like flourish Ithilien and the forests and stuff like that. I don't know if that's really lore. I don't really know what Legolas gets up to, really. I thought he chilled with Aragorn in Minas Tirith, but I guess because he's in Minas Tirith, he could help in Ithilien with Faramir. But yeah, these are the Greenwood Swordmasters. They're pretty much like Elven King, but have had a bit of a rework with armor. They look pretty cool, and they're the tier 3 very heavy melee infantry, so they're the elites that you can get as Ithilien. They do look very cool. So yeah, as you can guess, we're going to have a bit of an elven and a bit of a mannish hybrid faction here. I don't know how lore accurate this is, but I guess this is like what the Wood Elves are getting up to. We'll go and quickly check out some of the other stuff. We have spears here, which are going to be the garrison of Henith Anun. I guess that maybe is like an Elvish word for maybe for Ithilien. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just a new city setup in Athelion. But they look pretty much like Lasgarland spears. They don't look like they've changed really at all. They're actually a tier 2 medium spear infantry unit. And then what have we got over here? We've got the Forest Watchmen, which kind of they look pretty cool, I won't lie. These look very, very cool. They've got like some sort of like mask going on here. They've got a wolf head, but they are like Gondorian spears. They look like they've got a bit of a Wildman Dunland look to them a little bit as well, but they are very, very cool. I think they're a tier 3 very heavy spear. So yeah, they're a bit more like your Gondor spears that you get in the main mod. And then what do we have? We have quite a few spear units. It looks like animals. Looks like I put pole arms together. We have the Lords of Emin Arnon, which is I think the capital technically of Athelion. It's like the walled settlement that is in the main mod. You can play on Emin Arnon. But yeah, here is their unit here. Yeah, you've got the Lords of Emin Arnon, tier 4, very heavy spear, very similar. It looks like to a Citadel Guard, just a little bit reskinned. Looking very, very cool. I do like them. I like the shields, sort of like the white and gold does look very, very clean, I'll admit. And then over here we have a new polearm unit. We have the Wardens of Athelion. Kind of got that mask, same sort of like mask going on. I guess that's sort of like a ranger look, maybe. That's kind of like what the Athelion Rangers have in the films, and you see them in the main mod as well with sort of like a mask over their face. So I guess maybe that's what they're kind of trying to remind the player that you are kind of like playing as a ranger faction or sort of like a guerrilla type unit. But they seem like they're able to compete very much in a land fight, in a proper pitch battle if they needed to. I wouldn't have said polearms are sort of what you'd have in a pitch battle, but there you go. Maybe they're there to defend Emin Arnon, but they're tier 4 Wardens of Athelion, a very heavy polearm unit. They do look very, very cool. And then what do we have next? We have all the way over here some more archers. Yeah, we're now on to sort of the bread and butter of Athelion. We have marshaled archers here. As you can see, they are just like some pretty low tier stuff, and yeah, they are obviously just going to be like your cheap militia sort of stuff. But yeah, this is kind of obviously what Athelion's known for. They're renowned for their archers. So yeah, they want to, we're not wanting to lose their lands again. So they're going to make sure they have like trained archers. They've got elves and stuff like that fighting with them. But yeah, so they're trying to remove like the taint of Sauron and Morgoth, is what I've been told. Is like that's like aim is the Athelion. But I'm pretty sure that's kind of like happens with the death of Sauron. Like evil supposedly like left from the land. But these guys look pretty cool. They look like Athelion. They look like typical Gondor archers. They have a shield on their back, which I kind of like. Sort of like a hybrid unit. I'm a big fan of them. Then we have some elven archers. So yeah, these kind of look like gate wardens or like something like that. But they're just sylvan archers. They kind of got rid of the strange headpieces, but they are still looking very, very cool. Yeah, they look like hall guardians and gate wardens, but they're just a bow unit. They look very, very nice. They're tier 3. I thought they might be tier 4, to be honest. And then the final unit, which is what we already know and love, it is Athelion Rangers. These guys have not changed. They are still here, and they're your tier 4 light bow infantry, and they'll be pretty decent in a fight if they need to go into one. And yes, it does seem like, Legolas, I think, is like working with the Prince of Athelion, which is Elrond, and I think he is a son of Faramir in this. And then there's also the Captain of the Guard, Beregond, is also there. So he's like, I think he's mentioned in the books. He's like, he's like with Pippin, I'm pretty sure, in like the Siege of Minas Tirith. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's correct, if I remember from my Lord of the Rings lore. Then we have 2 cav units for Athelion. We have the Cormalan Horsemen. I don't really know where Cormalan is. But yeah, they're a melee cav unit, which I do kind of like that we've got melee cav instead of shock cav. But I would have thought that maybe these guys would have had like a shock cav unit of some sort, maybe like a light one. But they don't. So it's okay. But these guys look very cool. I like the plain white shields as well. It looks very, very cool. Kind of reminds me a bit of the Kingsguard a little bit from Game of Thrones. I don't know why I was going to say Lord of the Rings. But there we have the Riders of Minas Ithil, so we have a bow cav unit. I'm surprised it's not an elven bow cav unit, but maybe they've got minimal elven units because the elves are on the decline. But I do like that we do have a ranger sort of bow cav unit for Athelion. If they are like a ranger faction and, sort of reliant more on guerrilla warfare, a bow cav unit is excellent. And I'm a big, big fan of these guys here, that's for sure. Then the final unit over here is in fact Elrond with the Royals of Athelion, which is technically I would say a hybrid. It's a very heavy bow infantry unit, but it looks very hybrid. Like got shields on the back. They kind of got that what are they called? I can't remember the names. the pole arm unit. But you know what I mean. They look very much like sort of like the guard units that Gondor already have. But yeah, they are looking very, very cool. And then I guess that is supposed to be Elbron there. Looks okay. I don't know. I don't think Elbron's actually credited what he looks like really. So I guess they can make him look like whatever they want. But yeah, I'll make a quick cut here, and we'll quickly go to the sort of the roster, and we'll check that out quickly. So here we are on the roster, so you can see that you can have a lot of different generals, whether it's Wardens of Ithilien, Lords of Eminanen, Elberon, Legolas is also available with his last Guardian Rangers, and also Bedegond. I was thinking of Founding Guards. Couldn't for some reason for the life of me think of Founding Guards, but that is what it was. Then yeah, these are all the melee infantry. I actually forgot to show the shock infantry of the Foresters, but it's a low tier sort of shock infantry unit, so they're also available. They do have a shock unit, but it's not great. And then they also do have the Trebuchet available. Do Ithilien. So yeah, that is Ithilien. We will now move on to the next faction, which is going to be Algorond. So here we are with Algorond, or Aglarond, I think is how you're supposed to say Aglarond. I'm gonna butcher that name. I do apologize. But yeah, this is the realm of the dwarves that settled in Rohan at Helm's Deep. So yeah, I think it was Éomer and Gimli managed to do a deal during the 4th Age, or at the end of the 3rd Age, and they basically set up a mine in the crystal caves that are by Helm's Deep. And it looks like as time went on, like Helm's Deep comes under the sort of like the rule of Gimli, basically. So Gimli is still kicking about in this one. Yes, it's basically like a combination is this faction of like Rohan and Aglarond. I think you could have just had Aglarond on its own. You could have had Rohan still as its own independent faction. Whether they're going to do that, I don't know. But currently Aglarond has Rohirrim units in it. But I would, yeah, just make Rohan its own faction. I think that would be quite cool, just to then like have more factions available in your submod would be good. But yeah, they are a very defensive faction. Obviously the dwarves are typically very defensive, and they have strong armor, so it's very much same as sort of like a dwarven faction would play in main mod or any other submod really. And we have the Protectors of Aglarond here as the first unit. They're a tier 3 sword infantry. They look very similar to sort of like the axe infantry of Erebor, just with a sword. And then we have over here, we have the Iron Kin, which look pretty much like a spear, like the Iron Guards, like but without a spear. And instead they have a sword, but they're a tier 4 sword infantry. They do look very ferocious. I do like them. I like the idea of having a sword variant of the Iron Guards. It's very, very cool. And they've got different sort of helms going on as well, which is very cool. They've got some red helms going on. But yeah, they are all the swords. We then have axes over here. We have some lower tier axes. We have Dwarven Explorers. So the dwarves still exploring. It seems, I guess, exploring the crystal caves, looking for gems and riches down there. So yeah, these guys are a low tier axe unit. They also have Javi capability or missile capability. They have axe throwers. Amongst them, and then we have the Tunnel Guards of Aglarond as well, which are a little bit more experienced. I think these are yeah, tier 2. So yeah, the Explorers are probably tier 1. Yeah, they're a little bit better. So I guess yeah, axes are like your cheaper sort of melee infantry, and then you got your swords. Tier 3 and tier 4 are your more expensive guys that you get. But yeah, they look very, very cool. I do like these factions. I mean, they kind of, yeah, they've been reworking, just reusing the assets. A lot of these submods do, but they at least, you know, give a little bit of uniqueness, sort of like missile capabilities and things like that. We then have, I think these are just the Dwarven Miners. We see these guys already, so they are the tier 1 shock infantry. We then have Dwarven Smiths, which are tier 2 shock infantry. They look quite cool. I mean, they look very similar to other Dwarven shock. I think there's only so many different variations with all these different submods that people can add different stuff, but they are pretty cool. So they're a tier 2 unit. I hope that, because I still have the Erebor emblem, sorry, I have the Erebor emblem. I hope they can maybe edit that, change these emblems. That would be something I'd like to see as well changed. Because if they're not adding a lot of factions, I think small details like this could do with being changed. Like, they have got a unique emblem for Aglarond, but I think they should just, you know, maybe edit it so they can then have that there instead. And then what do we have here? We then have a Dwarven River Wards. I guess, is there a river by Helm's Deep? I guess there is like a stream. Or maybe it's like referencing like the Anduin. I don't really know. But yeah, these guys are here as well. So they're tier 3 shock infantry, a little bit more heavily armored. They look pretty similar to the tier 2 guys, to be honest. I would maybe put a bit more variety there. And then we have the Aglarond Stone Fist. And these guys, yeah, they have the 2 modern armor, but they have a huge Warhammer instead, which I do like this sort of like unit. It looks very cool. I'm a big fan of that. Then we'll move on to the spears. I think these guys we've already seen before. These are, well, they're Deeping Wall Watchmen, so actually they are a little bit different. They're like tier 1 spears. They have pretty much like the same sort of like armor. I think that the tier 1 axes have. Instead they got a spear. And then what do we have here? Then we have the Hornburg guards. Yeah, these are... So yeah, it seems like maybe the dwarves have got control of the Hornburg at this point. They've not just got the mines by it, they also have control of the fortress, which would make sense, I guess. But yeah, they're a pretty decent looking unit, a tier 2. A little less armored than maybe some of the other tier 2 units around. Then we have Erling Men at Arms. So yeah, here is the first sort of Rohan unit. We've seen these guys plenty before in land battles and sieges for Dawnless Days. And then what do we have here? We have the Mithril Guard. Pretty sure we've got various different iterations of Mithril Guard throughout the submods, but this is a spear variant. I don't know if they're always spears. There might be sometimes swords and shock, but they look very similar. They've got sort of the Manchu Claimer sort of armor and shields going on, but instead they've got a spear here. So yeah, they are the tier 4. They look pretty solid. And then what do we have here? We have the Forge Wardens, tier 2 unit here. And yeah, they are Forge Wardens. They're just gonna, yeah, they look very similar to the Erebor Halberdiers, I'd say. They just got a new name, I would say, at this point. I wouldn't say there's much difference to them. And then the Crystal Lords, again, they look very much our Tomb Wardens, I'd say. They just renamed them. But like I said, I don't think there's too much you can do in variations. I mean, they are like Gimli is from like Erebor, so a lot. I guess the armor wouldn't change necessarily too much. We then have Helmingast as one of the archer units that Rohan provides. What do we have here? We have Dwarven Crossbow Company, so it's a light crossbow unit that the dwarves are bringing. So they are available. And then we have a slightly heavier variant here as well. It looks like we've got the Arbalests of Aglarond. I do like that name. That's Arbalest is very, very cool. And they're a little bit more elite. Then we have one cav unit for like a Rohan dwarf hybrid. I was surprised it's just a one cav unit, but it's the Esquires of Rohan. We've also seen these guys plenty before. There's no sort of new Rohan units. It just seems like they've just got the same units as before. And then we have Gimli here, who I think still has... I know he's Disciples of Gimli. Oh, so he's now like a Disciples of Gimli, which I think is actually spelled wrong. So that's something that just needs to be changed. It's but yes, it's I guess Gimli's like a god or something like that. Like these guys are worshipping him. But he looks very cool. I actually think his model looks better. I don't know if they've changed Gimli's model recently, but it looks definitely better, I think, here than I've seen it before. But yeah, there you go. They look like Eredmithton veterans, but they're still very, very cool with those Yoms Viking sort of look to them. I'm a big fan of them. But yeah, we'll have a quick look at the roster so you can see all that's available for Aglarond. So I'll see you guys in a moment. So yes, here we are. Aglarond is, well, up and running, as you can see. We've got protectors. Well, we've got just about everything on show here. I think we've got Mithril Guard, we've got Gimli, we've got Aglarond Stonefist, and Crystal Lords as generals available. Within our protectors of Aglarond, we showed all of these. Really, there's only got a couple of melee units here. Seems like again a very defensive faction. It's got a lot of spears, pole arms. Are fairly well-rounded. The Cavs obviously just where they kind of lack. They also can bring the Dwarven Giant Ballista and an Onager as they're a Dwarven faction, so that is always good. I guess if they have to siege somewhere or defend on like a hilltop, they can bring some good artillery. But yeah, we showed just about everything off there, but that is the roster. They are fairly large rosters, which is great to see. I'm a big fan of that. So yes, now we'll move on to the final faction, which is going to be the Dominion of the Dark Tree. I'll see you guys in a moment. So here we are with the Dominion of the Dark Tree. And yeah, we have got an interesting unit to start off with. These guys kind of look like they've got a bit of a mishmash of all sorts of stuff going on. We've got a bit of a mishmash of sort of what, like Gundabad sort of units here with the shields. I think that's like the Citadel, like their Citadel Guards, or like Spear unit, the Red I've forgotten what they're called exactly, but yeah, they have the shield from them. Then we've got like Dolguldur armor going on, and then their men underneath. And these are an interesting unit. They're called the Reformed Legions of Mordor. So yeah, they're a tier 3 sword infantry. I do like the name of this. I didn't think really like maybe the Reformed Legions of Mordor. I guess maybe Humanor thinks he's going to reform Mordor. I thought he just wanted to sort of like turn Gondor and Arnor into dark lands. But yeah, I guess these are reformed Legions of Mordor, but they're men rather than orcs. So yeah, very, very cool unit. They're a tier 3 sword infantry. I kind of like this idea. Like, they're Legions of Mordor, but they're not orcs anymore. Because the orcs are all gone, because they only listen to Sauron. They wouldn't listen to a guy just Humanor. I think he's just a man. I don't think he's actually like an evil sort of like necromancer or anything like that. I think he is just a generic man with a dark heart. So yeah, that's very cool. Then we have the guards of the Eternal City. I don't know what Eternal City they're guarding, but okay, they're cool there. I guess more like Eastern sort of like evil men. I guess they were always a bit more loyal to Sauron and the and Melkor. But yeah, these are the guards of the Eternal City, kind of yeah, giving like a Veriag sort of vibes, a bit of Veriag sort of maybe like Carnish sort of looks to them. So yeah, they look very, very cool. I do like them. The shields kind of, I don't know why, but the shields remind me of like ancient Egypt for some reason. I do kind of like them. Very basic again, but look, you know, kind of do the job, in my opinion. And then I think there's one more sword unit. They're the 2 sword units. We have 1 axe unit as well. Marauders of Ether and Aduin. Is it supposed to be Anduin or Aduin? I don't know. It might be supposed to be Anduin, I think. But they have like the White Tree of Gondor on here, and I do like this idea that there's like evils or Gondorians, like people that don't believe in sort of like, I don't know, the King of Gondor. I think like the King of Gondor was supposed to be quite weak at the time of like this point in the Fourth Age, like after Aragorn. I don't think like his son's like seen as like being as strong. He's got big boots to fill, to be fair. But I kind of like maybe one critique. And these critiques come from a good place, so I'd like to see this submod do really well. I would like to see like maybe these guys in sort of like have this inverted, maybe have like the tree being like black, because it's supposed to be a dark tree, the Dominion of the Dark Tree. So have a dark tree and maybe like a paler sort of jerkin. So these guys are like, or have like a red tree and then black. So you're trying to like, you know, it's supposed to be like Sauron in a way, but instead of like having an eye, you have the tree of Gondor. I think like a red tree, and then a black sort of jerkin would look really cool for these guys. Everything else, I think, the color scheme works really well. I think like you got the occasional red shield and like some pale ones here. Maybe you could have like black shields instead, I guess. But they are a pretty cool unit. I do kind of like them. Yeah, a big fan of those. Those are all like the melee sword and axe units that I just kind of like clobber together. We then have Uruk-hai, which again I'd like to see like the banner get changed, so it's not Isengard, because Isengard's longer. But Uruk-hai remnants, I guess some of the Uruk-hai survived. I'm pretty sure they've got wiped off the face of the earth in the Third Age, but maybe some of them survived. We have Uruk-hai remnants here. They're a heavy shock infantry, a very heavy shock infantry unit, tier 3. So there's some of those still around. They kind of look like more like the scouts, but with a shock infantry. Like blade, they've got the berserker blade. They're very cool. Then we have the acolytes of Huramor. So these are like look like dark Numenorians. So they are still kicking about. Apparently, they look like Servants of the Eye, but with a big sword. Instead, they look very, very cool. So yeah, I guess Huramor is supposed to be seen as like there is a cult forming around him. That is sort of like lore of the Fourth Age. And yeah, these are some acolytes of his. So they look very, very cool. I do kind of like them. Then we've got quite a few acolyte units, and the Servants of the Eye certainly serve to look very acolyte-like. Then we have Men of the Easterling. I guess the Easterlings are sort of rallying to Huramor's banner. They have not learned from their lesson after being conquered by Aragorn, I think, in the early stages of the Fourth Age. And these are, yeah, basically just clan guards, but they're just Men of the East. So that's what they're referred to. That's like the Easterling contingent. And then we have Eternals of Nindamos. They kind of remind me of, if you've ever played the Fives of Gondor, the mod, they kind of remind me of the Eastern faction there, which is, name's escaping me, but it's basically like I forgot what it's called, like Harandor, I think it's called Harandor. But yeah, they kind of remind me of them, these spears. They look very cool. The Eternals of Nindamos. I'm gonna have to try and remember all these names. But yeah, what banner they have? They have the Morgul banner, at least. That's, you know, not too bad. But I would like to see them have like their own banner. And then we've got the Followers of Numenor. This is probably the only unit that, when I was looking at it, I was like, I'm not so sure if these guys are in the right faction. I feel like they probably should be in the Cillian's faction, like, or at least, like, with Numenor, Numenor is supposed to be seen as good. I know there are some Dark Numenorians, and like the Empire of Numenor in the Second Age sort of like changes sides and joins like Sauron, but yeah, I definitely feel like these guys probably on the wrong faction. Maybe we would change their name. Maybe we would turn their armor a bit darker as well. They just kind of look a bit too much like Athelian troops, to be honest, in my opinion. But they look okay. A pike unit, so that's pretty cool. I think they're were they tier 2? Tier 2, yeah, medium pikes. Then we have some Keepers of the Dark Fortress. So we do have some orcs here. And there's a very cool looking like phalanx Macedonian type unit. They've got a shield strapped to their side there. But yeah, we have some orcs. I thought most of the orcs kind of disappeared and just kind of withered away. I don't really know what happens to them in the 4th Age. But we do have some orcs here. And yeah, they're a tier 3 very heavy pike unit. I don't know what Dark Fortress they're defending, where it's Barad-dûr, but I'm pretty sure Barad-dûr's been reduced to nothing. Whether, yeah, Huramor's got a fortress, I don't know whether he does, but I would have thought maybe not. Otherwise, Gondor probably would have destroyed it if they'd known about it. And then over here we do have, what do we have here? We have the Cultist Bowmen. They do look very cultist, to be fair. In their red hooded capes, they're looking very spooky, and they're a bow unit. They're a tier 1 light bow unit, so yeah, they're your cheap guys. Again, I would probably invert these colours. I don't like the idea of having a white. This just kind of makes them just look Gondorian. Maybe have a red tree again and make the capes black or something like that. I think that would be certain. Obviously, there's mods early stages. They can still change a lot. Oh, we do have some more Haradrim here. So yeah, we've got Marksman of Nirn. So yeah, we've got some Haradrim Bowmen there. They just look like the Haradrim Bowmen from like the vanilla sort of, well, not vanilla mod, but base mod. Then we have again some more very Gondor looking guys. Pillagers of Minas Ithil. So that's Minas Morgul. So I guess maybe that's where Huramor's set up in Minas Morgul. But yeah, we do have some Javis here. And yeah, again, I would just invert these colors. Maybe have red trees and then limit, yeah, black. Well, this guy's already got a black jerkin. He just needs a red tree, that guy back there. You're halfway there, sir. But yeah, I think that's what they just need. Just make it look a bit more dark, a bit more evil. Just for, you know, easier to distinguish then when it comes to battle. And then we do have some very looking Gondorian knights. And I actually don't think they look too bad. Maybe we change the hell maybe a little bit. But yeah, these guys look very cool. I mean, I changed the banner on the shield, so it's not Sauron, but Sauron's eye, but maybe like Huramor's like dark tree instead. But these are very cool. So the Huramor's chosen. They're pretty much like Servants of the Eye. They're a tier 4, have very heavy melee cav. But they look very cool, that is for sure. And then we do have a Guards the Teeth unit on horseback, by what you'd see when you look at it to start with. But this is a Heralds of the Dark Tree. It's a shock cav. So it's actually the first shock cav I think we've seen actually in the mod, and it's with the Dominion of the Dark Tree. But yeah, they are very cool. The Heralds of the Dark Tree. So I guess like the Mouth of Sauron, but on horseback, but pretty much. And they got Servants of the Eye as like their captains. And then we do have trolls, so mountain trolls. This is probably, again, I don't know if Huramor is just a generic man or if he's a necromancer, but I wouldn't have thought he'd been able to really coerce trolls onto his side, but maybe he can. I do not know. But yeah, we have mountain trolls here. They're just pretty much like mountain trolls. I don't know if they're like super buffed, super strong. I've not actually tried them out, but they do look very cool nonetheless. And then here we go. Here he is, the man himself, Huramor, the false king. And his unit's called the Cultists of Armenelos. So I guess maybe he's claiming that he's like got some royal lineage, I guess. I don't think he really was doing that, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he does want to just sort of claim the throne for himself. I thought he was just, you know, a cultist that just wants to sort of worship Melkor and just kind of doing his own weird thing. But he's got a very cool looking crown, that's for sure. I'll give him that. And yeah, Armenelos, that is the old capital of Numenor. So I guess maybe, yeah, he's claiming he's got Numenorian descent. But he's a very cool, he's got a massive double-handed sword there, but his unit is a very heavy melee infantry unit, obviously tier 4. But there you go. That is all of the Dominion of the Dark Tree. I'm going to quickly look at their roster to see, I mean, just to show you how big it is. But yeah, that is pretty much it for checking out their units on the battlefield. So yeah, they're all the units that we brought for the Dominion of the Dark Tree. You can see that we can bring the Heralds of the Dark Tree as a general, either Huramor here, or you can bring the Acolytes of Huramor as well as a general. It looks like his faction is, I'd say he's kind of like aimed at a bit being quite aggressive. He's got some pretty good shock infantry, some decent swords as well. The spears are okay by the looks of it, but I wouldn't say that's what they're really for. The pikes, I guess, could suggest they could play defensive. But I'd say they're fairly well-rounded. But the shock cav as well, definitely the best of the factions for a land battle. And the trolls as well, I mean, can use pretty much an offensive weapon. They do have the large onager and the normal onager as well, so that's like what Mordor has available. But yeah, they're all the units. We did check them all out. But yeah, the roster's fairly well done. It'll be interesting to see whether they add new factions or whether they'll just maybe alter these a little bit. I would also like to see maybe if they could do like a 4th age campaign. It is getting worked on by 2 devs, Revolve and Huey, so thank you very much guys for letting me check this out. It is available on the workshop as well, so you can go and check it out there as well, guys. And yeah, they did help with sort of giving me information and sort of some description of these factions. So I try to put a little bit of that in there with my own sort of twist. But yeah, really fun faction. I'm a big fan of it. But yeah, fun faction, fun submods. I'm definitely gonna have to try and maybe showcase this on a stream or something like that. But yeah, until next time, guys. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you're around here, and a comment to show support. And I'll see you in the next Dawnless Days video. Bye for now.